Hi there BookTube, it's Eleanor here, and wouldn't you know, it's the first day of Bookbuddyathon and I'm ill. I've got this horrible sore throat and cough and cold, but we've been very busy today. I'm keeping going, and I managed to finish my first book. Now, I didn't read the whole of this book today, but I was halfway through it and I didn't want to not finish it. So I finished Allegedly by Tiffany D. Jackson. Sorry for the screaming in the background, it's bath time here. And I really enjoyed this. It's the story of Mary. At the start of the book, she has been in prison and sort of a baby jail and a children's centre home because she was convicted of killing a baby that her and her mother were babysitting for. And it's a horrible place to live. You get the impression she's quite intelligent, but she obviously hasn't had the best start in life. So in this group home, she's not really had the best run of things, but she has found a boyfriend at her job in a nursing home, and she has become pregnant. And it's really here where we start. We're learning about the story, we're learning about what happened, we're learning about how she got to this point, and we're also learning about sort of her fighting back, because now she is having a baby. She feels this urgency to sort of clear the slate and to make a life for herself. And it was really good. It was really interesting. I didn't quite have the emotional connection all the way through that I was hoping. There was certainly aspects of it where I felt quite emotional, but I really enjoyed it. It was a solid book. It made me want to pick it up, and so I gave it 4 stars. So now I'm going to be moving on to my buddy read book with Janet, which is Sufficient Grace by Amy Espeseth. I got this in a moth box, which Mercedes from Mercy's Bookish Musings does, and we both wanted to read this, so we're going to be buddy reading this together. So I've got a bit of catching up to do, but I'm not feeling good. So I'm going to try and read as much as I can before I fall asleep and try and make myself better. But yes, this is the next book, so I'll catch up with you when I've read this. Hi guys, so it's day 2 of the Bookbuddyathon and I'm still ill. The sore throat has gone and now I'm just full of cold. So yesterday I went to bed super early. I think I was asleep by 9 o'clock, and I told you about the book that I had finished, but I also managed to read volume 3 of Gem and the Holograms. This one's called Dark Jet, and it was a really good continuation of the story. I really like the colour palette and the artwork in this story. It's a real modern revamping of Gem and the Holograms, which was something that I loved as a kid growing up. I just loved the Gem TV show. This was a solid 4-star read. It covers the challenge to read a book with my buddy's initial as the first letter, because Janet's initial was J, and so Gem. So I'm really pleased with that. So far I have I finished a book which may or may not end up being my sort of just because book. I've read the book with my buddy's initial on, and I read 50 pages of our buddy reading book, which is Sufficient Grace by Amy Espeseth. So far this is okay. It's not mind-blowing. There's not much going on. It's a bit more character driven, which is what I was expecting, because I know that that's the type of thing that Mercedes really loves. So I'm still hopeful for this, but I think we're going to probably read about 50 pages a day and just work our way slowly through this in the week. So I'm going to be picking up another book today, but I haven't decided what it is yet. So I will catch up with you a bit later when I have picked up my next book and maybe read something. But for the moment, I'm working on the Book Buddy box for June. So don't forget to grab one if you want. It's a really good book actually this month, and something very different to what I would normally pick up, and yet brilliant, and it's really converting me to a new genre I hadn't really thought about. So yes, definitely one to pick up if you fancy trying it. And because I've got a new job starting in September, I'm going back to work full time. Well, it's classed as part-time, but it's actually, you know, 5 days a week. It is sort of full-time, nearly hours. It's school hours. I will not be doing the Book Buddy box on a monthly basis from probably September box will be the last one. So what I'll probably be doing, if people still are interested in it, is doing it maybe twice a year as a sort of special thing. So if you wanted to try the Book Buddy box and you want to get the next 4, which there'll just be 4 left, then buy the next one and see how you get on and see if you enjoy it. And I'm really excited about this one, so I definitely think it's worth it, but obviously that's up to you. And as always, the Etsy store is linked down below, so go and check it out if you are interested. Yeah, so I will catch up with you again probably tomorrow or later this evening to let you know how I'm getting on. I'm really enjoying watching everyone tweet and Instagram and chat about what they've been reading. It's been really great fun, and I've been watching everyone's videos and catching up on their TBRs. So yeah, I hope you're all having a good week so far, and I'm determined to get over this snotty, illnessy cold by the end of the week, because we're off to Disneyland Paris next week, so I'm super excited. So I will check in with you again a bit later. Bye, BookTube. Hi guys, so I have been putting off filming because I still feel a bit rubbish, but I'm really enjoying the Bookbuddyathon. It is the end of day 3 and I have completed 2 more books since I last spoke to you. Yesterday I started The Thing About Jellyfish by Ali Benjamin, and this was one of the books that was in my pile of 3 for Janet to pick one from, and she picked this one. It's a middle grade book, so it's quite a fast read. It's about 340 pages and it's a very quick read, but it was really, really good. This is the story of Susie, and Susie is talking about her life after her friend Franny has died. She's drowned, and she's convinced herself that Franny has drowned because of jellyfish and that she's been stung by jellyfish. And since she found out that Franny has died, she has decided not to speak anymore. So she's not been speaking. I think it's called selective mutism. And we're just following her story, her investigation into jellyfish, and how that might have caused her friend's death, and coming to terms with that, and coming to terms with the relationship she had with her friend, and how that had changed over time, and her emotions about that, and sort of family dynamics. And it was just a really lovely story, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. I definitely recommend this one. I gave it 4 stars, but it was just a really quick, really enjoyable read. And then I've just finished my book, which is the book with my buddy's colour on, which is green, which has got green all over it, and that is Proof of Forever by Lexa Hillier. I didn't know much about this when I went into it, and all I could glean from the blurb was it was about 4 friends and their sort of time at summer camp. And what it is we're following 4 girls, 4 friends, and they've not seen each other or not been each other's lives for the past 2 years since they were at camp for the last time together. And it is sort of they're just about to head off to college, and there is a sort of camp reunion every year, and they all decide to go to this camp reunion because the one girl who is normally their sort of anchor says, come on, we're all going to the reunion. They meet at the reunion and they go into this sort of photo booth where you take like the strip of photos together, and they get sent back in time, and they end up back at camp the 2 years previous. I think it was 2 years. Yeah, 2 years previous, and they're reliving this final 5 days at camp, and it's just really interesting. We're looking at their dynamic, their relationships, the girls, things that have happened in their life, things that change and that they discover in the past about themselves and about their relationship and why they sort of fell apart. And it's just really, it was really clever actually. It was a really good good and interesting way of doing it, putting them sort of back in time, and they all know that they're back reliving this like final time, and it's, yeah, I really enjoyed it. On the back someone's put the sisterhood of the travelling pants, or time travelling pants for a new generation. And I have to agree, it was just, it had that sort of sisterhood of the travelling pants feel about it, and there were times where there were some tears pricking my eyes towards the end. Yeah, I really enjoyed this, and I gave it 4 stars, but if I could I'd give it sort of 4.5. It wasn't quite a 5-star, but it was really good. I couldn't put it down. I've been compulsively reading this all day, so yay. So far it's day 3 and I have finished the book with my buddy's initial, my buddy's favourite colour, pick 3 and let your buddy pick 1, a book just because, and I am partway through my buddy reading book, which is the final challenge. So I'm going to read a little bit more of this tonight, and then I do have some other books which were in my sort of piles to get to, which I think I'm going to try and get through this week as well. Bone Meal for Roses by Miranda Sherry, which was one of my, you know, choose one of the 3, and I think actually might have been the other one is False Hearts by Laura Lamb. Both of these I've wanted to read for ages, so seeing as I am on the buddy reading, on the Bookbuddyathon reading and going for it, I think I might try and get to these this week as well. And then as you know, if you watch my channel, I'm doing Shelf Slam and it's viewers choice this month, and the poll went out for my viewers choice just before Bookbuddyathon started, so I didn't have a chance to read the book that was picked, and that is Everything Beautiful Is Not Ruined by Daniel Young Ullman, so I might pick up this one as well. So plenty of books to choose from, and I'll get back to you when I've read a bit more of my next one. Hi guys, so it's been a few days since I last spoke to you. I'm nearly over my cold now, which is super because I've just felt a bit rough. But since I last spoke to you, I've managed to read 2 books. We're on day 6. One of them is an audiobook, and that is a book called He Said, She Said, and this is by Erin Kelly. Now this book is set around 2 people's lives, Kit and Laura, and their boyfriend and girlfriend, and we are told alternate chapters from different points of view, and the narrator here, or narrators, did a really good job of having you know, a male and a female doing that. I think worked really well. The story is about Kit and Laura, and we follow them from the sort of the beginning of their relationship over 2 timelines. So there is the timeline which is at the beginning of their relationship. They are eclipse chasers, so they go and watch these eclipses in different places at these sort of festivals, and during one of them, when they're sort of newly in love, they witness, or Laura at least witnesses, a rape. And it stems from there. It stems from what happens during the court case and the relationship that she forms with the victim. And then we're also following the timeline of present day, where Kit and Laura are expecting twins, and we're following the aftermath. And there's hints from the very start of this book that something has happened. They're sort of hiding, and it's just how it all unravels and how the story came to be. And it was really, really gripping. And there was a few twists in there I hadn't seen coming, and it was good. I really enjoyed it. I wouldn't say, you know, it blew my mind, but I really enjoyed it, and I definitely wanted to carry on listening and find out what had happened. So I gave this one 4 stars. And then the other book was a bit of a surprise. It came in the post. I fancied reading it, so I picked it up, and it was a really nice way of doing things. Normally I sort of, you know, get something in the post from a publisher, it sits on a shelf, and then I read it eventually. But this one, just instantly, I was like, oh, I'm in the mood for that. And it's called I Have No Secrets by Penny Jolson. This is already out, and so if you like the sound of it, it's something that you can get. So thank you to the publishers for sending me this, but obviously honest reviews as always. This was really good. I think it's aimed at 12 years plus, so I think that might be classed as sort of a middle grade story. So the story we're following Gemma, and she's got cerebral palsy. I think in this she is around 16 years old. Her cerebral palsy is quite severe, so she is wheelchair bound. She's also unable to communicate in any way. She can't speak, and she is unable to control a lot of her muscles, and so she's got an extremely intelligent brain. She understands everything that's going on, and yet she can't communicate with anyone at all. And so a lot of the time people are sort of second guessing what it is she needs. And there's times in this where because the story is told by her, so it's her inner monologue, and there's times where she's in pain and she's obviously coming down with something. She's got an infection, she can't tell anyone, and so this progresses for quite a long time until people realise. And I just think it just really opens your eyes to how horrendous that must be. And also the way that people treat you, because, you know, if you physically look like you can't communicate, then obviously you must be, you know, you can't possibly be intelligent, which made me really angry. And yet Gemma's condition means that people let their guard down around her because she can't communicate, and someone in her life hints that he has killed someone, and she knows that information, and yet she can't impart it to anyone. And we're just following her story, her life. She lives in a foster family since she was 2, and the foster family are wonderful. They also have fostered 2 other children, an autistic son, and a girl who obviously has some sort of behavioural and emotional problems, but it's never really discovered what they are. And it's just following their life. It's following Gemma's discovery of, or being told this, which happens right in the first chapter, and then how she looks to try and communicate this. And it's just a really interesting book, and one I definitely think people should read. And it definitely gave me a new appreciation, and made me think about the way that maybe I have seen and perceived people that are in wheelchairs and unable to communicate. And I just think it makes you think about how you treat people, and think of people as human beings, and you know, check yourself and how you're behaving to people. And I just thought she was a wonderful, strong character, and what I really enjoyed is that the main people in her life, her parents, especially her mum, her foster mum, and her carer, don't treat her like an idiot. They almost have this sort of, because they love her, because they've got this connection with her, they have this rapport with her, where they really do treat her like, you know, a teenager, a growing girl. They treat her with respect, and I really, really loved that. And it then became all the more apparent when there was people in her life that didn't, and I just thought that was really good. And I gave this one 4 stars. 4.5 if I could, but yeah, 4 stars. I really, really enjoyed it. It's definitely one to watch out for. So I'm still currently reading my buddy reading book with Janet, which is Sufficient Grace by Amy Espeseth. I'm hoping to have this finished by tomorrow, so I will check back in with you when I've done that, and I will also check back in with you then to let you know the winner of my Instagram competition, which was Bookbuddyathon giveaway 2. So I will let you know who that person is, as well as a quick brief roundup of my week and how I did. Hi guys, so it's the final day of Bookbuddyathon, day 7. I hope you've all had fun, and I finally finished my buddy reading book for the week, which is Sufficient Grace by Amy Espeseth. I was reading this with my buddy, who was Janet from Swirly Girly Reads, who was also helping me host the week, so thank you to her for that. It's been so much fun. Unfortunately, this turned out not to be a book that I enjoyed very much. It's the story of a small community, a small religious community. They live very separate in some ways in terms of how they live and how they forage for food and they hunt, and yet the children still go to regular schools. But they have very particular views on how they do things. Their lives are quite insular in terms of their social life. And we're following one of the children, Ruth, and I think the problem for me in this book is that The religious aspect just really grated on me. I didn't enjoy that side of it. I can see the point. It's not meant to be easy to read, but I didn't like how this religious side blinded everything that was going on and how things worked in their community. I found it a little bit tedious. I found it quite slow moving. Unfortunately for me, I think this is one of those books where it's very slow and it is beautifully written, but it just wasn't for me in terms of what I was looking for and plot, etc. So I gave this one 2 stars. So that was a shame. However, I'm glad I read it. So that was my buddy reading book for the week. Then I had my book that was Pick 3 and Your Buddy Picks 1, which Janet picked The Thing About Jellyfish by Ali Benjamin. Then I had the book with your buddy's initial, and that was Gem and the Holograms Volume 3. Then I had a book with your buddy's favourite colour, and hers is green, and this had green on. And then I had a book just because, and I picked I Have No Secrets by Penny Jolson. I also read The End of Allegedly by Tiffany D. Jackson, and I finished listening to He Said, She Said. So I had a pretty good week. That's 6 books and 1 audiobook finished. So yeah, I'd say it went really well, and I just really enjoyed everyone participating, getting excited. So thank you so much. I've been looking at the Twitter and Instagram and YouTube videos, and it's been wonderful to see, and I'm so pleased that people have enjoyed taking part again. We'll definitely run it again later on in the year. And for the final thing that I wanted to say is that my Instagram competition is closed, and the winner of that is Sarah, whose Instagram is manic_Dennis. So Sarah, I will comment on your photo to let you know that you've won. You've won your choice of book from the book depository for up to the value of £15, and I will be getting in contact with you about that, and I'm really excited to see what you pick. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed yourselves, and as I say, it's been a really fun week, so thank you for taking part and joining in whatever way you have. And that's it from me, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now, BookTube.